straight from the king of horror. These characters have been haunting our nightmares for years. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 best villains in a Stephen King movie adaptation. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're considering only villains and antagonists who appeared in a film or TV movie, and not a series that was adapted from a Stephen King short story, novella, or novel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben's buddies, Harold Weiss and William Laughlin!
Number 10. Warden Samuel Norton, The Shawshank Redemption.
Open the door. Open it up!
When Andy Dufresne is wrongfully convicted of killing his wife and her lover, he's sent to the titular Shawshank prison, where the corrupt, greedy, and cruel Sam Norton is warden. Frequently abusing his authority, he imposes draconian measures on the inmates, and uses his position to rake in extra cash by using his prisoners as essentially free, read slave labor, as a way to undercut all the competition.
How can you be so obtuse?
What did you call me?
Constantly skimming off the top, he enlists Andy to cook the books for him, as though his shady business dealings and human rights offenses weren't bad enough. To keep his crooked cottage industry running, he actively stands in the way of justice and has a young inmate murdered in cold blood. Number 9. Cujo.
Cujo, what's the matter?
How quickly can man's best friend become his worst nightmare? The villain of perhaps one of King's most grounded stories isn't evil, just a rabid beast on a rampage. At the beginning of the film, Cujo is a good-natured dog, content to do what country dogs do best: chase small animals and get mucky. But after being bitten by a rabid bat, all that changes. While single-minded in his ferociousness, it's not hard to imagine this happening in real life, which is what makes it so frightening.
Oh my God!
Number 8. Mrs. Carmody, The Mist.
The day I need a friend like you, I'll just have myself a little squat and shit one out.
One of the many survivors to get trapped in the Food House supermarket in Bridgeton, Maine when the ominous mist rolls into town. Mrs. Carmody is at first dismissed as the religious fanatic she is. However, as time drags on and fears escalate, and her portentous muttering seems to some like prophecy, she quickly positions herself as a sort of leader, drawing a cult-like following.
No, we are being punished. The judgment is being brought down upon us. The fiends of hell, you see, they are let loose.
Manipulative, pragmatic, and utterly zealous in her conviction, it's not long before she has most of the terrified, trapped citizens eating out of her outstretched and sanctimonious hand, bending them to her will and wishes, which includes human sacrifice. Number 7. Margaret White, Carrie.
Yo, woman now.
Why didn't you tell me, Mama?
The domineering mother of Carrie, Mrs. Margaret White has spent her entire life intimidating, controlling, and abusing her daughter, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Though she considers herself holier than thou, any true Christian would tell you that she is way out of line. Having seemingly come up with her own doctrines and text, she has toxic and insane beliefs. And it's her hurtful and destabilizing words Carrie hears ringing in her head when the troubled girl finally loses it at prom.
Move from here. We're never gonna stop moving.
No, Mama!
You're gonna go to your closet and you're gonna pray.
You're gonna get in there, you're gonna pray for forgiveness.
No, never again, Mama!
To top it all off, not only does she undermine and try to psychologically destroy her daughter, at the first signs of independence, she attempts to murder her. Number 6. He Who Walks Behind the Rose, Children of the Corn.
The Lord did come to me, and he was a shape. It was he who walks behind the rose.
While Isaac Kroner, child prophet and preacher, might be the ringleader who brought the murderous children together, he's just the mouthpiece for an even greater force. He who walks behind the rose.
For he has great power, even greater than that of the Blue Man. The Blue Man!
Although there is some implication within the greater Stephen King canon that the entity is just one of the many forms of another antagonist known for walking, within the film it's an ancient, wrathful harvest god who requires frequent penance and blood sacrifice. Once the adults were all gone, Isaac promised his flock they would find the truth, but instead, all they got was one pissed-off demon. Number 5. William Wild Bill Wharton, The Green Mile.
You warned me! You warned me! Well, come on!
This murderous young man earned the moniker Wild. From the moment he arrives on the Green Mile, he has one thing on his mind: trouble. But of course, not only is he a grade-A ass, wreaking havoc and causing problems for everyone unfortunate enough to come into contact with him, he's also a multiple murderer and rapist.
I'm gonna kill her instead of you. You're making a noise. I'm gonna kill her. You understand? You understand?
It's not until later that it's discovered that he's responsible for the brutal assault and murder of the 2 little girls gentle giant John Coffey is accused of killing. Obnoxious, remorseless, and totally heartless, he makes the petty and cruel Percy Wetmore look like a scared rabbit.
I let him go. I was just playing. I let him go.
Number 4. Randall Flagg, The Stand.
Actually, my name's Flagg. Randall Flagg.
He goes by many names. The Man in Black, Walter O'Dim, the Walkin' Dude, but by any moniker, he's one thing at his heartless core: pure chaos. The ultimate antagonist in the Stephen King multiverse, this shapeshifter is the archetype of all villains, and his influence echoes in other King stories, especially his Dark Tower series.
You can't stop what's coming. Death always wins.
Within The Stand, he adopts the guise and moniker of Randall Flagg, the charismatic and supernatural leader of half of the survivors of the plague known as Captain Trips that wiped out most of humanity. Summoning followers through dreams, he rewards their loyalty with debauched comfort and punishes those who displease him with public torture and crucifixion. Able to shift between lives and worlds, he is malice incarnate.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
Number 3. The Overlook Hotel, The Shining. While Jack Torrance might be the vessel for the violence, his descent into madness isn't just a case of acute cabin fever. The true antagonist is not Jack or even the ghosts, but the Overlook Hotel itself.
Everything bad that happened here is still here. It wants us. All of us.
The location, itself a source and abstract thing of evil, compels the people who come there to do horrible things, and then traps their doomed spirits forever so as to absorb their lives in order to grow stronger. People with the Shining or similar abilities are particularly vulnerable, because if caught, they can provide it with the most energy. A scummy bathtub is the least of your worries here.
A little slow tonight, isn't it?
Number 2. Annie Wilkes, Misery.
You've been here 2 days. You're gonna be okay. My name is Annie Wilkes.
After helping author Paul Sheldon following a terrible car accident, it at first seems that Annie Wilkes is a godsend. However, as her wholesome facade slips away, her true, deranged nature is slowly revealed, and Paul discovers he is less a guest and more a hostage to her psychotic whims.
We must finish the book.
A former nurse, Annie was tried in the deaths of several infants on her maternity ward years earlier, but found not guilty due to lack of evidence. Left to her own devices, she plies her twisted knowledge of the medical trade on Paul, controlling him with painkillers, drugging him to silence, and breaking his legs with a sledgehammer, only to bandage them up again. Misery is right.
I love you too. And you're right. We are meant to be together.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
You're dead.
Number 1, Pennywise, It.
Hiya, Georgie.
You want a balloon? Although it most frequently takes the shape of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, the creature that terrorizes the kids of Derry every few decades is more akin to an ancient god or demon from an unknown dimension. As if frightening kids as casually as one would seasoned meat and then devouring them wasn't bad enough, the abilities it employs while doing so make it seemingly unstoppable.
Damn it, hell.
With shapeshifting, telepathy, mind control, regeneration, and partial invisibility being just a few tricks in its repertoire, it can appear anywhere at any time, making sure you're screaming all the way through. Good luck, losers. You're gonna need it.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.